What if the real reason people don't take you seriously has nothing to do with your English?
What if it's not your grammar, not your vocabulary, but the way you deliver your words?
Because here's the truth. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful.
It's the calm one, the one who speaks slowly, pauses without fear, and never rushes to prove anything.
Have you ever noticed that? When someone speaks with calm confidence, people don't interrupt them.
They listen, carefully.
Now imagine this. You walk into a conversation and instead of feeling nervous, you feel in control.
Your voice is steady, your words are simple, your mind is clear.
You're not trying to impress anyone.
But somehow everyone is impressed.
Today, we're going to show you how to speak English so calmly,
That it actually makes people nervous.
not by using big words.
But by mastering something far more powerful,
Your pace,
your silence.
your presence.
And once you learn this,
You won't just speak English better.
you'll feel different when you speak.
And when you feel different,
People see you differently.
let's begin. Let me tell you something most English learners never realize. The moment you start speaking fast, you lose control, not just of your words, but of how people see you.
Yes, speed feels like confidence, but in reality, it often comes from pressure. You're trying to finish quickly before someone notices your mistakes. You're trying to escape the moment instead of owning it.
And people can feel that. Even if your grammar is correct, rushing makes you sound unsure. Your voice becomes tight, your breathing becomes shallow, and your message starts to break apart.
Now think about the opposite. Think about someone who speaks slowly, not lazy, not boring, but deliberate. Every word placed with intention. There's space between their sentences. There's calm in their voice.
That kind of speaker doesn't chase attention. Attention comes to them.
Exactly. When you slow down, something powerful happens. Your mind gets time to think. Your sentences become clearer. You stop reacting. And you start choosing your words.
And here's the shift. People don't judge you by how fast you speak. They judge you by how comfortable you sound while speaking.
Comfort creates trust, and trust creates authority.
So instead of trying to speak like a machine, focus on speaking like someone who is completely in control of the moment.
Try this simple practice. Say a sentence, and then pause. Not because you forgot what to say, but because you decided to pause.
That pause is powerful. It tells the listener, I'm not in a rush. I'm not nervous. I'm choosing my words.
At first, it will feel strange. Your mind will tell you, this is too slow. They will think I don't know English.
But the truth is the opposite. When you slow down, people assume you're confident enough not to rush.
And confidence is not about speed. It's about control.
So the next time you speak English, don't try to impress anyone with how fast you can talk.
Instead, show them how calm you can be.
Because the person who controls the pace controls the conversation.
And the moment you control the conversation, you control how people feel when they listen to you.
There's a moment that makes most English learners uncomfortable, that small gap when they don't know what to say next.
And in that moment, they panic. They rush to fill it with anything. Um, uh, Random words, just to avoid silence.
Because silence feels dangerous. It feels like exposure, like people will suddenly realize you don't know English.
But here's the truth. No one tells you. Silence doesn't make you look weak. It reveals how strong you are.
Confident speakers are not afraid of pauses. They use them. They let silence sit in the air for a second, and that silence actually pulls people closer.
Think about it. When someone speaks nonstop, fast, and crowded, your mind gets tired. You stop paying attention.
But when someone speaks and then pauses, your brain wakes up. You lean in, you wait, you become curious.
That pause creates tension, and tension creates focus.
Now imagine this in a real conversation. Someone asks you a question in English. Instead of rushing to answer immediately, you take a small breath and pause.
That pause is not a mistake. It's a signal. It says, I am thinking. I am choosing my words carefully.
And suddenly the pressure disappears. You're no longer reacting out of fear. You're responding with control.
Most learners think they need to respond instantly to prove they are good. But instant answers often sound automatic, not thoughtful.
And people respect thoughtful speakers more than fast speakers.
So instead of filling every second with noise, start allowing space in your speech.
Replace with silence. Replace panic with a pause.
At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will say, this is awkward. Say something now.
But if you stay calm in that silence, something powerful happens. The silence stops being awkward and starts becoming authority.
Because the one who is comfortable in silence is the one who is not controlled by fear.
And when you are not controlled by fear, that your voice becomes steady, your thoughts become clear, and your presence becomes strong.
So the next time you speak English and feel that gap, don't run from it.
Stand in it, own it.
Because silence is not empty. It's where your confidence begins.
Let's face a hard truth. Most people don't stay silent because they don't know English. They stay silent because they're trying to speak perfect English.
Yes, they build the sentence in their head again and again, correcting grammar, changing words, doubting every choice, until the moment to speak is gone.
And when they finally speak, it comes out slow, heavy, and full of tension. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they're carrying too much pressure.
Perfection creates hesitation, and hesitation kills confidence.
Now think about the best communicators you've seen. Not the most advanced, the most effective.
They don't try to sound perfect. They try to sound clear.
Clarity is simple, it's direct, it's easy to understand.
For example, instead of saying, I would like to express my opinion regarding this particular matter in a comprehensive way, just say, I think this is a good idea.
Same message, more power.
Because when your sentence is simple, your mind relaxes. And when your mind relaxes, your voice becomes steady.
Most learners believe big vocabulary equals strong English.
But in real conversations, simple language wins. Every time.
Clarity makes people feel comfortable listening to you. They don't have to struggle to understand. They don't have to guess what you mean.
And when people understand you easily, they trust you more.
Here's the shift you need to make. Stop asking yourself, is this sentence perfect?
Start asking, is this sentence clear?
Because communication is not about impressing people with complexity.
It's about connecting with people through simplicity.
At first, you might feel like your English sounds too basic.
But basic is not weak. Basic is strong when it's clear.
Even native speakers use simple sentences in daily conversations. Not because they can't say more, yeah, but because they choose clarity.
So give yourself permission to speak in a way that feels natural, not complicated.
Say what you can say clearly instead of struggling to say what sounds impressive.
Because the moment people understand you without effort, your confidence becomes real.
And when your confidence becomes real, your English starts to flow without fear.
So remember this, perfect English is not your goal.
Clear English is.
And clear always sounds confident.
Let me tell you something most people completely ignore. Your tone speaks before your words do.
Yes, people don't first analyze your grammar or vocabulary. They feel your tone. They sense your energy.
And if your tone sounds nervous, rushed, or unsure, it doesn't matter how correct your sentence is.
Because uncertainty in your voice creates uncertainty in the listener.
Think about a moment when you felt nervous speaking English. What happened to your voice?
It probably became higher, faster, maybe even shaky. Almost like you were trying to escape the moment quickly.
That's the problem. When your tone rises and speeds up, it signals tension. And people subconsciously read that as lack of confidence.
Now imagine the opposite. A calm, steady voice. Not too loud, not too fast, not forced.
A voice that feels relaxed, like it has nothing to prove.
That kind of tone immediately changes how people see you. You don't need complex words. Your presence does the work.
Because tone is emotional, it carries how you feel inside and delivers it to the listener without effort.
So if your tone is calm, people feel calm listening to you. If your tone is steady, people trust you more.
Here's something powerful. You can control your tone even before you improve your English.
Start by slowing your voice slightly, not dragging your words, but giving each word space.
Lower your pitch just a little. Speak from a relaxed place, not from your throat or tension.
And most importantly, don't try to sound impressive. Trying too hard creates strain in your voice.
Instead, speak like you're explaining something simple to a friend.
At first, it may feel unnatural. You might think, this doesn't sound like me.
But that's only because you're used to speaking under pressure.
Once you remove that pressure, your natural tone begins to appear. And that tone is always calmer than you think.
Remember, people don't just listen to your words. They listen to how your words feel.
And when your tone is calm and controlled, your words carry more weight.
So don't focus only on what you say.
Focus on how you say it.
Because the moment you control your tone,
You control the entire conversation.
there's a silent pressure that almost every English learner carries. The need to sound impressive.
Yes, the moment they start speaking, they're not just communicating, they're performing. They want to sound smart, advanced, fluent, almost perfect.
And that's where everything begins to break.
Because the moment you try to impress, your focus shifts. You're no longer thinking about what you want to say, you're thinking about how you will be judged.
You start searching for big words. You try to build long, complex sentences. You hesitate, correct yourself, restart, and slowly your confidence disappears.
It's like trying to walk naturally while thinking about every step. The more you think, the more unnatural it becomes.
Exactly. Communication is not meant to be forced. It's meant to flow.
And flow only happens when you remove pressure.
Let's be honest. In real conversations, nobody is sitting there analyzing your vocabulary like a test.
People are not thinking, wow, what a complex sentence. They're thinking, do I understand this person? Do I feel comfortable listening to them?
And that comfort comes from clarity, not complexity.
But learners often believe that using difficult words will make them sound more confident.
When in reality, it does the opposite. It creates tension, it slows you down, it increases your chances of mistakes.
And worst of all, it disconnects you from your natural voice.
Here's the shift you need to make. Stop trying to impress people with your English.
Start expressing your thoughts honestly, simply, and directly.
Because expression is natural. It's personal. It comes from understanding, not from memorization.
Think about how you speak in your own language. You don't try to impress. You just say what you feel.
You choose words that come easily. You speak without overthinking every sentence.
That's exactly the energy you need in English.
Now, this doesn't mean you stop improving your vocabulary.
It means you use what you already know, with confidence.
For example, instead of trying to say something complicated like, this situation is quite challenging and requires a multifaceted approach.
You can simply say, this is difficult. We need to think carefully.
Same meaning, less pressure, more clarity.
And when you speak like this, something powerful happens. Your mind relaxes.
You stop fearing mistakes because you're no longer trying to be perfect.
And when fear disappears, your natural rhythm starts to appear.
That's when your English begins to feel real, not forced.
Let's go deeper. Trying to impress is often connected to insecurity.
You feel like your English is not enough, so you try to cover it with complexity.
But confidence is not built by hiding your level. It's built by owning it.
When you accept where you are, you remove the pressure to pretend.
And that honesty makes your communication stronger.
Because people don't connect with perfection.
They connect with authenticity.
Think about conversations that felt comfortable. The person wasn't trying too hard.
They were relaxed, natural, easy to understand.
That's the energy you need to bring.
Not, look how good my English is.
But here's what I want to say.
There's a big difference.
Now, here's a practical shift you can start using immediately.
Before you speak, ask yourself one simple question.
What am I trying to say?
Not, how can I say this perfectly? Not, what is the most advanced way to say this?
Just focus on the message.
Once your message is clear in your mind, say it in the simplest way possible.
This removes confusion, it removes pressure.
And it makes your speech more direct and powerful.
Another important point. Mistakes are part of expression.
Yes, when you focus on expressing, you allow yourself to make small errors without stopping.
And that's how real communication works. Even native speakers make mistakes.
But they don't stop every second to fix them. They keep going.
Because the goal is connection and not perfection.
If you stop every time you make a mistake, your flow breaks.
And once your flow breaks, your confidence drops.
So instead of stopping, continue. Let the sentence finish.
People will still understand you.
And that's what matters.
Over time, your accuracy will improve naturally.
But your confidence, that comes from flow.
Now imagine this version of yourself. You speak calmly. You don't rush. You don't force big words.
You say what you mean, simply and clearly.
There's no tension in your voice, no pressure in your mind.
You're not trying to impress anyone, but people are impressed by how comfortable you sound.
That's real confidence.
And that's what makes people listen to you.
Because when someone speaks without trying too hard,
It feels real.
and real always stands out.
So the next time you speak English, don't carry the burden of sounding impressive.
Drop it.
Speak with what you know.
Say it clearly.
Say it calmly,
And trust that your message is enough.
because the moment you stop trying to impress,
You finally start communicating.
and that's when your English becomes powerful.
Let's go deeper now. Beyond words, beyond grammar, beyond vocabulary. There's something even more powerful that decides how people see you when you speak English.
Your presence.
Yes, not your accent, not your sentence structure, your presence.
It's the way you carry yourself in the moment, the way you hold your attention, the way you exist while speaking.
Because communication doesn't start when you open your mouth.
It starts the moment people feel you.
And most learners completely ignore this. They focus only on words. They think, if I improve my English, I will become confident.
But confidence doesn't come after perfect English.
It comes before it.
Presence is what makes simple English sound powerful, and weak presence can make even perfect English sound uncertain.
Think about someone who speaks with full attention. They're not distracted, they're not rushing, they're not trying to escape the conversation.
They are fully there. Every word comes from a calm, steady place.
That kind of presence is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful.
Now think about the opposite. A learner who is constantly thinking, what if I make a mistake? What should I say next? Are they judging me?
Their attention is not in the conversation, it's inside their head.
And when your attention is divided like that, your presence disappears.
Your voice becomes unstable, your sentences lose flow, your energy feels uncertain.
So the real problem is not lack of vocabulary.
It's lack of presence.
Here's the shift you need to make. Stop trying to speak perfectly and start focusing on being fully present while you speak.
What does that mean in practice?
It means when someone is talking, you actually listen. Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly listening.
Because when you listen fully, your response becomes natural. You don't have to force it.
And when it's your turn to speak, you stay connected to the moment. You don't disappear into overthinking.
You stay with your words, you stay with your breath, you stay with your message.
This is what creates calmness.
And calmness creates power.
Let's talk about something very important: eye focus.
Many learners avoid eye contact when they speak English. They look down or away or around the room.
Not because they are rude, but because they feel exposed.
But avoiding eye contact breaks your presence instantly.
Because presence is connection, and connection requires attention.
You don't need to stare intensely. Just maintain soft, natural eye contact.
Look at the person while you speak. Let your attention stay there.
This alone can change how confident you appear.
Now combine that with a calm voice and simple sentences.
Suddenly, your English feels stronger without changing your vocabulary at all.
Because people are not only hearing your words.
They are feeling your presence.
Another key part of presence is your breathing.
Yes, most people don't realize this, but when you feel nervous, your breathing becomes shallow and fast.
And that directly affects your voice.
Your sentences become rushed, your tone becomes tight.
So before you speak, take a small, calm breath.
Not a big dramatic one, and just a simple reset.
This grounds you. It brings your attention back to the moment.
And when your breathing slows down, your speech slows down naturally.
Now let's address something deeper.
Many learners feel like they are less than when speaking English, like they are not equal to native speakers.
And that belief destroys presence.
Because when you feel inferior, you try to rush, to prove, to compensate.
But presence requires equality. You must feel like your voice deserves to be heard,
Not because your English is perfect.
but because your thoughts matter.
The moment you accept that, your energy changes.
You stop shrinking. You stop hiding.
And you start showing up fully.
That's presence.
Let's make this practical.
Next time you speak English, focus on 3 things only.
First, listen fully.
Second, take a small breath before speaking.
Third, stay with your words. Don't run ahead in your mind.
That's it. Not grammar rules, not complex vocabulary.
Just presence.
At first, your mind will try to go back to overthinking,
That's normal. Gently bring it back.
because presence is a practice.
And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes.
Over time, something incredible happens.
You stop fearing conversations.
You stop rushing to finish.
You start enjoying the moment.
And when you enjoy speaking, your English improves without force.
Because learning becomes natural.
Now imagine yourself in a conversation.
You're calm, you're focused, you're fully there.
You speak slowly, clearly, without trying to impress,
You're not perfect, but you don't need to be.
because your presence makes your words feel strong.
People listen to you.
They respect your calmness,
They feel your confidence.
not because of perfect English.
But because of powerful presence,
So remember this,
your words matter.
but your presence matters more.
And the moment you master your presence,
Your English becomes something people don't just hear.
they feel, let's be honest about something most people never admit. You don't struggle with English only when you speak.
You struggle before you even start speaking.
Exactly. The tension begins in your mind. The fear builds silently. The overthinking starts long before any word leaves your mouth.
And that's why many learners feel confused. They study vocabulary, they learn grammar, they practice sentences.
But when it's time to speak, everything disappears.
Because the real problem was never just English.
It was the emotional state you bring into the conversation.
If your mind is tense, your speech will be tense. If your thoughts are rushed, your words will be rushed.
So here's the shift that changes everything. Stop practicing English only.
Start practicing calmness.
Because calmness is the foundation of confident communication.
Think about it. When you feel relaxed, your mind works better. Your memory becomes clearer. Your sentences come naturally.
But when you feel pressure, your brain goes into survival mode. It's not trying to communicate, it's trying to escape.
That's why you forget words you already know. That's why your voice shakes even when you understand the sentence perfectly.
So instead of asking, how can I speak better English?
Ask, how can I stay calm while speaking?
Because when you solve calmness, you solve communication.
Let's go deeper. Most learners only practice English in a stressful way.
They test themselves, they push themselves, they judge every mistake.
And slowly, their brain starts associating English with pressure.
So every time they speak, their body reacts with tension automatically.
That's why you need to retrain your mind.
You need to create calm experiences with English.
Start simple. Speak to yourself in English when you are relaxed.
No audience, no pressure, no fear of judgment.
Just you and your voice.
Talk about your day. Describe what you see. Say simple thoughts out loud.
The goal is not to sound perfect,
The goal is to feel comfortable.
because comfort builds confidence.
Now take it one step further. Record yourself speaking.
At first, it might feel uncomfortable hearing your own voice.
But this is powerful because you start to observe yourself without pressure.
You notice your speed, your tone, your pauses.
And slowly you improve, not by force, but by awareness.
Another powerful practice, controlled exposure.
Yes, don't jump into high pressure conversations immediately.
Start small. Speak with someone you trust, a friend, a supportive partner.
Then slowly increase the challenge.
Each step builds confidence.
Each calm experience rewires your brain.
Now let's talk about something deeper.
Fear of judgment.
This is the biggest reason people lose calmness.
They're not afraid of English.
They're afraid of how people will see them.
What if I make a mistake? What if they laugh? What if I sound stupid?
These thoughts create pressure before you even speak.
But here's the truth. Most people are not judging you as much as you think.
And even if they are, it doesn't define your ability.
You are learning. You are growing.
Mistakes are not failure.
They are part of the process.
So instead of trying to avoid mistakes,
Become comfortable making them,
because comfort removes fear.
and when fear disappears, calmness takes its place.
Now imagine this version of yourself.
You're about to speak English, but your mind is quiet.
There's no panic, no rush, no pressure to impress.
You take a small breath.
You speak slowly.
You pause when needed.
You don't fight mistakes. You move through them.
You stay present.
And suddenly, speaking feels different.
Not perfect, but natural.
Not stressful, but controlled.
This is what happens when you practice calmness.
Now here's something important.
Consistency matters more than intensity.
You don't need to practice for hours under pressure.
You need small daily moments of calm speaking.
5 minutes of relaxed speaking is more powerful than 1 hour of stressed practice.
Because your brain learns from the feeling, not just the words.
So make calmness your habit.
Speak slowly every day.
Pause without fear.
Use simple sentences.
Stay present.
Over time, this becomes your natural way of speaking.
And when it becomes natural, confidence is no longer something you try to create.
It becomes who you are.
So stop chasing perfect English,
Start building a calm mind.
because a calm mind creates a calm voice.
And a calm voice creates powerful communication.
In the end, people won't remember every word you said.
But they will remember how you made them feel.
And when you speak with calmness,
You make people feel your confidence.
not loud, not forced,
Just quiet and powerful.
and that kind of power,
Stays with them long after you finish speaking. So now you understand confidence in English was never about speaking fast.
it was never about using difficult words or sounding perfect.
It was about something deeper.
Your calmness, your control, your presence.
Because when you slow down, you think better.
When you allow silence, you sound stronger.
When you speak clearly, people trust you.
And when you stop trying to impress,
You finally start connecting.
this is the difference between someone who knows English
See, and someone who owns the conversation.
So the next time you speak,
Don't rush.
don't panic.
Don't try to prove anything.
Just stay calm
Speak simple.
and be fully present.
Because the truth is,
People don't remember perfect English.
they remember how you made them feel.
And when you speak with calm confidence,
They feel your power.